Welcome to episode 78 of Project Geekology. But guess what, guys? We are in the year 2296. And guess what? We're in a vault. Everything above us is destroyed. I don't even know if anybody's listening to us right now. I am one half of your host, Anthony, and joining me as always is...
Dakota. And yeah, I people will be listening, but you know what? You know what doesn't change? War. War never changes.
But you know what does change?
Talk to me.
The value of bottle caps.
Oh, snap. And actually, you're drinking a beer, or you will be drinking a beer later, that has a bottle cap. So at least you have the value locked, you know, so whenever it goes high, you can get rid of it, sell it.
I'm starting up on my collection, you know? Ready for...
the apocalypse.
Ready for when I, climb up to the surface.
Anthony, you brought something up to my attention, but right before we started recording. This is episode 78 of Project Geekology, but the bombs dropped in 2077, and, the first couple vault dwellers went into their vaults in 2076. How did we fumble this so poorly?
We did. We folded. We're sorry to the fans. We let you all down. But, I guess we're going to have to start our own Fallout storyline in 2278 or...
We don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Project Geekology, episode 78. You may notice something a little bit different. We're trying it out. If you like it or don't like it, let us know. But there's no music on this podcast. We do want to try something just a little bit differently in our editing process. And we hope you like it. Maybe it's a little less distracting. Wink, wink. Rich, I know you're listening. I think that this will honestly just be easier for us to edit and, get out to you guys. So that's actually kind of exciting. And I kind of hope that we can still incorporate music into, I guess, future episodes, like maybe an intro and an outro. So if you have any ideas, let us know.
Absolutely.
Anthony, what have you been up to this past 2 weeks? Because, my bad, we were supposed to record last week, but I'll talk about that later. What have you been up to?
Well, I honestly, we had watched the Fallout show, and since then I've dove back into the world of Fallout. So honestly, everybody who either is a fan or a new fan of, or an old fan or a new fan of Fallout has been hopping on to Fallout, and honestly the various games. It's crazy. Literally, it's not like one specific Fallout game that everybody's playing. People are playing Fallout 76. Fallout 76, when that game came out, it went through a period of hate. A lot of people didn't like it. It released to some harsh critical reception. But since then, they've done a lot of updates, and now there's a new love for it. So that's been interesting. I've always kind of liked Fallout 76, even in its humble and over the top buggy days, even though it's still really, really buggy. But that's just the reality of Fallout games, and that's honestly part of the charm. A lot of people love the games because of the ridiculous bugs, and then also people have been playing Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas, even the older ones. So that's been really cool. But yeah, I've taken a trip down memory lane, playing Fallout 76 and Fallout 4. So, and actually Fallout 4 just recently Fallout 4 just recently got in a next gen update. So for all of you new and old fans coming to Fallout at this time, it should look a lot better now.
I'm actually really excited to jump into it. My only real introduction to the Fallout series, besides watching other people play, was playing the mobile app Fallout Shelter for 10 years ago. That was really fun for, a couple weeks, whatever. But I was familiarized with the world of Fallout through, and the vault specifically, through that game. So I knew a little bit about it going into it. And I'm really excited to jump into potentially Fallout 4. As you said, it's just gotten a new little makeover. And yeah, I think that would be a good first step for me in like the gaming side of this franchise, because I'm really impressed with the lore side of this. And we're talking a lot about the games right now, but I do want to stress that we're going to be covering mostly the TV series, the Fallout TV series on Amazon Prime.
Oh, absolutely. And and not without touching, on the games, because obviously,
that's a huge part of its history and all that.
Exactly.
If they made a Elder Scrolls TV show, you'd have to talk about the Elder Scrolls games too.
Exactly. Oh, so yeah, my first foray into the Fallout series wasn't the first two games. The first two games, I think, for the most part, they were PC only, and back then I wasn't really like, that was like in the 90s, and I wasn't really like PC gaming back then. I think that like my first jump into PC gaming was like with you when we started playing WoW and some of those other games.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first jump into the Fallout world was Fallout 3, and I had gotten the Game of the Year edition when that came out, and dude, I absolutely like fell in love with that world. But I definitely want to talk more about that world and why I like it a lot more when we talk about the show, because the show takes pretty much almost all of the elements from the video games and puts it into the show. So it'll be hard not to talk about the games with, when talking about the show. But yeah, no, for the most part, I've been really just enjoying my trip back into the world of, Fallout. I think that this is a great time to like get back into the series. I don't know. It's been a while since we've gotten
it also like
proper
the TV...
Fallout game.
Yeah. It kind of came out of nowhere, the TV show.
I agree.
There's been rumblings about it for years, literal years. I remember hearing about it back in 2021, early COVID years, and then I didn't even watch the trailers for the show. Like it was just kind of like off my radar until like early reviews started coming in, and I was just like, I should probably check this out. Okay, and basically that's where we are now. But besides Fallout, what have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
Well, I've also been, I've also been diving into the world of sour beers,
I think Anthony's like made it a point to like he's got to say Persona or Persona 3 at least once per episode.
I have to, because I know that it makes Dakota die internally. But he'll get why I enjoy it once he finally hops into the world.
Yeah, okay, all right. I will.
But yeah, no, I mean, for the most part, it was, watching through the Fallout series and kind of taking note of a lot of the influences and some of the stuff that they pulled from the different games. But yeah, no, man, it's been pretty much all Fallout for me.
Awesome.
How about you? I know that you've been doing quite a bit of stuff, like you've been out and about traveling, so.
We'll be back after a quick break.
I hate talking.
Do you love talking about any topic and are never frustrated during conversations? Then I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if there are topics that you avoid, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Do you know the definition of every word others use? I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if you are curious about the definition and historical usage of words, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Do you know about current events and other random topics? Then I Hate Talking is not a podcast for you.
But if you enjoy conversations on a variety of topics, then listen to I Hate Talking.
Listen to I Hate Talking wherever you get your podcasts.
Episodes drop every Thursday. Listen, like, and follow I Hate Talking today.
Yeah, so the reason this is a week late is 100% like on my side of things this time around anyway, or most times. Let's be honest, most times it's my fault that we're late. But this time we had a Disney trip planned or a Disney World trip planned from Friday to, like, we got in on Friday night, like at midnight, and then we left around Tuesday morning. So it was really a 3-day trip, but, over 4 nights. And that was a lot of fun. Originally, we had booked this weekend, my wife and I, to do the 10-mile race at Disney World. And my wife did end up doing it, but I hurt my knee pretty badly, like 2 weeks prior to the trip. So like it got to a point where like I was like limping, just to and from work. And I'm just like, how am I going to do this race? How am I going to do this race? And I think I just decided like a week before the race that like at this rate, even if I do heal properly, if I do run 10 miles in Disney World, I'm going to hurt it again and it's going to be even worse. And I was just like, let me just sit this one out. I'll cheer my wife on. And she did great, and she had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun too. Just there was like random characters that I, at the finish line that I was just taking pictures with. I can send you. I took pictures with Baymax and the kid from Coco and Timon and Rafiki. I had Rafiki teach me a cool pose for pictures and everything. Yeah, it was fun,
Nice.
And then we spent the next couple of days just in random Disney parks. But so that's pretty much the majority of what I've been doing this past couple of days. But I do want to do like a Disney race at some point, preferably without an injured leg. And what was frustrating, what was so
Did
frustrating?
Did you sprain it, or like was it like when you were
It was like
training and you
I was
fell or
training.
something?
I didn't fall. It was just I was overtraining it. So the issue is I live in New York. It's really cold in the winter, and there's very few days that are really good for running. So I ended up, at the start of spring, really training up to about. I only trained up to about 5.5 miles from like 0 miles. I'm not a runner, so I was able to do 5.5 miles, and the goal was 10 miles because that was how long the race was. And the quick increase of mileage was really bad on my joint, like my left knee joint. So like under my shins, I got like a really bad like case of runner's knee, which is a thing I didn't know about until it happened to me. But I do want to do a Disney race in the future. It just sounds so cool. Like my wife, she said that she started in the Epcot parking lot, ran through Epcot, like it did around the world, and like there's cast members from every country. Oh, there's my wife there. I'm back. Anyway,
Welcome back. When she ran around the world, were they passing out drinks or?
They were passing out like water and Gatorade or Powerade, I think it was. No, they didn't do that. Apparently, there were like people on the side of the road that like were handing out like actual like bottles of alcohol, like the little tiny bottles. I saw a video of a guy dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow. Like he looked great, by the way. Captain Jack Sparrow. He was running the race, and someone said Captain Jack, and they showed him like a little bottle of Bacardi, and he like grabbed it and chugged it and kept running.
Oh my god.
It wasn't a Disney employee. It was just a random guy running the race.
Yeah. No, I could figure that. That also sounds like that would be really hot,
dude,
to run in that.
And it was a heat wave this past weekend. It was like 90 degrees in April.
Weekend, yeah,
but
absolutely.
It was early in the morning, so it was before the parks were open. It was dark out, so at least there was mostly no sun until like 7 o'clock rolled around, whatever. But so it was cool. She went through Epcot. She went through Hollywood Studios and did like the Galaxy's Edge run. It seemed like a really cool thing. Other than that, what else? What have I been up to? I have continued my reading of One Piece.
Oh yeah, I saw that you were reading that in the plane.
Yeah,
which I was wondering if you all were gonna drive down or fly down. Which
we decided to just drive or fly down, just because it's kind of for a single weekend, couple days. It just didn't make any sense to drive. You waste so much time in the car. But I'm really enjoying it. They're finally in the Grand Line. They've passed Logtown, and they're currently on an island with two battling. Like the pirates are currently on an island with two giant, like literal giant warriors battling to their death.
Yeah, I remember that in the anime.
I'm having a good time with that. It's a really good like little arc. So I'm just really pleased about that. And what else? What else I've been up to? I think that might be it. I'm looking around. I'm always like looking around my room to see if I can
Oh yeah, how'd you
identify.
like the giant turtle that ate the ship? Or was it a turtle? Or
It was a whale.
whale?
It was a whale.
It was a whale. Yes.
I thought it was kind of stupid, but I just kind of went with it. I'm
But
just
there was like an island in the inside. It was.
It kind of looked like
The
Master
dude had
Roshi's
like,
Island.
his own like.
It kind of looked
it
like
was
Master
so, like,
Roshi's
weird.
Island. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was interesting. It's still some like, even though it was like really dumb, like there's still a lot of like heartfelt stuff going on in it. Right now they're escorting the princess of Alabasta, or how do they pronounce it in the show? Alabasta or Arabasta?
It's Alabasta, yeah, in the show.
Okay.
But I know that like it's so insane because like you
there's different pronunciations in different media.
Arabasta, yeah.
Anyway, I'm enjoying my continued One Piece read. I'm officially let's see what chapter I'm on. I'm on chapter 120. So I'm like 11% through the entire series, which is kind of cool if you think about it that way. But yeah,
That's actually not bad.
no, it's not. When you put it in terms of like percentage completed, in terms, it's not actually that bad. Yeah, there are like 1,100 chapters in the series, but the chapters are easy to breeze through. You know, if you have a little time to read, 5-10 minutes, it's just nothing.
So are you just reading through the manga, or are you
Right now
watch through the anime?
Right now, I'm just reading through the manga.
Okay.
Just because I was trying to do like the manga and the anime at the same time, and it was just taking too long because I would read a chapter, I read a couple chapters, an arc, whatever, and then I go to the anime and I'm just like, I literally just read this, you know, and it was just kind of like, it was enjoyable, yeah. It's also trying to find time to like watch the show with the wife in the house, just because it's sometimes anime can be like really loud and annoying if you're doing homework or whatever. So yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at right now. But I'm giving you the
Nice.
Pip-Boy thumbs up.
You have rad poisoning.
Let's jump into the Fallout series because I feel like we have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to waste any time on it.
Let's do it. You know, we don't want to set the world on fire.
I think I'm just so impressed by how well they were able to capture the lore. And I'm saying this as someone who doesn't know the lore. You know, I have not played the games, but I can tell. Just like, I can just intrinsically tell they put everything into this. They did everything that they could to stuff as much lore and random items and stuff and references to this and that and Shady Sands and all of this. It all had meaning, and I could tell like there was a bigger meaning for everything that came from the games, which is why I'm so excited to like jump into the games as well, like New California, Republic, whatever.
Yeah, the NCR.
I think that is all super impressive. And when I was doing research after having finished the show, I watched GameSpot. They did a fantastic timeline video on the Fallout series. And I usually don't watch timeline videos from other channels, but I figured I'm never going to be in a position to have actually played through all the Fallout games to be able to like express that in my own video well enough. So I just wanted to listen to someone else do it, and GameSpot did a fantastic job breaking it down. And what I love about the series is it's all kind of released in chronological order. Like every game comes out and it's a later date on the Fallout timeline.
Right, with the exception of 76, which
That's correct.
76 takes place before like all of the games.
Right. Yeah, that's the for the most part though.
It's kind like a prequel, yeah.
Yeah. And I was impressed when I found out that Fallout, the series, isn't a rehash of any of the stories that played out in any of the games. This occurs several decades after most of the games even, take place.
Right. And see, that's the beauty of Fallout. Fallout, you really don't have to rehash a story that's within the storyline, because honestly, everybody's experience with Fallout is different. it's non-linear. The worlds are like so massive, and you know, there's so much DLC. You know, some people play the DLC, not everybody plays the DLC. And so yeah, like that's the thing with Fallout, was that even if they put the TV show within the same timeline as one of the other Fallout games, you would be none the wiser, because it'd be like, okay, this is somebody else from a different vault. You know, the games have established that there are several vaults. So, something that I found interesting, and I don't think it was ever really shown in the games, but it would make sense that they exist, is that 3 vaults kind of like cohabitating, but kind of being their own society in the same time. Like there was vaults 31, 32, 33. Well, in the games, they don't really have that. I mean, there are, you know, in the games, you do come up upon other vaults within the worlds, but not really vaults that are connected within, you know, with other vaults in the way that the show is. And so that was a change, but it didn't really bother me, because I feel like in the world of Fallout, each vault and each situation was different, that it is very plausible that there could be 3 vaults that exist in that kind of way.
And throughout this, I kept trying to figure out what like the social experiment was in Vault 33 and 32 and 31. And that's kind of like the looming mystery of the show, as I see it right now, because knowing anything about Fallout, it kind of just... each vault has, and correct me if I'm wrong, each vault has some sort of test that it's performing on its inhabitants or its victims. Am I wrong in saying that?
You know, honestly, maybe like there might have been, because now that I think about it, the way that Fallout 4 begins is that you're in cryo sleep in Fallout 4.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you kind of get woken up in you get woken up in cryo sleep, and your character has a wife and a child. They shoot your wife and kidnap your child, and you witness this, but then they put you back into cryo sleep. You know, yeah, and then you wake up like a bit later, and then everybody in the vault is dead. You know, like the life support system, but somehow you're alive. So yeah, there's definitely something, you know, Vault-Tec is definitely very like shady, you know, and they make it a lot more apparent. I mean, it's apparent in the games, but they definitely highlight it a lot in the show.
Yeah, I was curious about that. We'll get back to like the little experimentation that each vault has, but when it comes to Vault-Tec, you know, as a vault dweller, which I'm assuming most Fallout games, you're the vault dweller, or you're a vault dweller on the surface, correct?
Yeah, you start off in the vault, and then you go out into you go to the surface, and it's for various like different reasons. It's
it's
not
course.
For the same thing. Yeah,
Cool, every story is unique in that sense, and that I like that. It's a fleshed out world, but for the most part, I doubt your characters believe that Vault-Tec, the person or the company who created the vaults for you to survive in, is some evil corporation pulling the strings. Like, you as a vault dweller probably do not have that mentality, at least not before you go out to the surface.
Right. Like, no, you're pretty much honestly, dude, like a lot of the times, you know, you're leaving the vaults like, you know, what's going on, like why is a lot of the time the vault's like empty. Okay. In Fallout 4, it's been a while since I played Fallout 3, but Fallout 4, like I said, you know, everybody's dead. You know, they're in their cryo chambers, they're dead. You know, so it's not like the other, you know, some of the other vaults where it was like generations and generations just living, you know. And then I think Fallout 3, you wake up and yeah, I think like the vaults, you know, everybody, if I remember correctly, like everybody's dead again also. But I think, but not because of like cryosleep. I think raiders came in or something like that. Kind of not unlike the show. Dude, it's been a while. I need to get back onto 3.
No, that's all right. So my question to you, with that knowledge in mind of, you know, the vault dwellers generally don't believe that Vault-Tec is at fault. How do you feel after having seen this series and they just spell it out to you, like they were the ones who dropped the bombs? Like how does that make you, like a lifelong Fallout fan, or most of your lifelong Fallout fan? How does that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, it makes sense, because yeah, you find this stuff out
Through the gameplay.
Throughout the gameplay, and so it really does. It makes sense. And it's not like, they don't just, drop the bomb on you. They slowly, like, they divulge a little bit, like, Vault-Tec has their hands in this and this and this. They own almost everything. And then you're like, yeah, they're the ones that drop the bombs.
Yeah. Going back to, like, each vault has its own experiment. When, I'm going a little ahead of myself in the, just like talking about the series, but when Lucy and Maximus get dropped down into that one vault, I forget where or like what number it is. When they get dropped down into that vault, one of the characters asks Lucy, "What was the experiment in your vault?" And that's what got me thinking, like, well, what is the experiment? Because it's kind of like a perfect little society. Everyone seems happy for the most part. And then 32 is just like everyone has gone crazy and killed themselves, and they all blame Vault 31 for that. And then later we find 31 is basically all the Vault-Tec like the high up Vault-Tec employees have cryogenically frozen themselves to eventually take over and lead Vault 33 for some purpose. So that was interesting. I'm curious about like what the purpose of that, and obviously we're going to find that out because Fallout Season 2 has been greenlit at this point. So do
you think like maybe the experiment, maybe it's like a 2-part experiment?
Well, I think it's a 3-part experiment because
yeah
because of 32 as well. Like what was
right? Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I guess in a way I meant that like they're kind of coming here and showing like this perfect society, and then obviously there's something going on in 32. Like there's something like maybe they're trying to see how they respond to how life would be in bad way, and some sort of crazy thing going on that, I mean, at some point it forced them to kill themselves.
So the vaults that Lucy and Maximus fall into, everyone seems to have some sort of body modification, or like growing organ. Some people have like an extra nose or one eye or like an ear on the top of their head.
I loved and this was like Fallout humor, like straight up.
Okay.
The dude with the one eye.
I loved
he's
him.
Like, he was like trying to like read, and he puts on glasses, and it's like, regular glasses, and none of the lenses are covering his eye. And he's like, and then what he called him, he's like Goosey McLean.
Goosey. Yeah, he kept calling her Goosey.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, dude.
Some excellent humor.
There's a lot of minor details about this series that I absolutely love. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like when it comes to a show, when it comes to adapting a show from like any other, from any IP, a book, a video game, whatever it is, I feel like the small details are just as important as anything that might be on the macro level. And just honestly, the setting looked exact, like the world, the sets, whatever, it all looks like something out of a Fallout game. The clothes that they were wearing, the Pip-Boy, the mannerisms felt very Fallout.
Yeah, when they went to the town called Philly, Philly, no
Yes.
relation to Philadelphia, I don't think. But when they went to Philly, I was so impressed with the set. Like, it was just a massive town that they had built, and it was just ramshackle and like old Western, but also future, like retro futurism a little bit. And it was just like, I loved it. It was like an old West. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and so yeah, no, I'm glad that you point that out. That's actually something that's very interesting about the Fallout world, is that the Fallout world starts off in our future. It's in 2077,
Right.
but in the world of Fallout, it's like the 50s. 2077 is like 1950s.
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
almost like
But it's
technology...
futuristic because they have Mr. Handy. They have these nuclear fusion vehicles that they like drive. You know, they're using nuclear energy for a lot of like different things. They have the power armor that uses the fusion cores. It's so interesting because it's like old school, but like it's like an alternate 1950s, you know?
Yeah, I was really interested in like how that could happen, like logistically, like their style of the world kind of paused, like post World War II, but the technological advancements continued. So you still had that 50s vibe, that 50s, 60s, you know, look throughout the entire series, especially like in the flashbacks.
I like that they did that.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the flashbacks a little bit in a sec. But yeah, they had that aesthetic, but they kept the growth in terms of technology moving forward.
Yes.
Especially, you know, considering they have like fusion cores. Like we don't have ready access to nuclear energy like that. But yeah, it was just that's what I'm like so impressed by. Not just with the show, but the lore in general, and it's got me so excited to dive deeper into it with like Fallout 4 or 76 or New Vegas, whatever. Yeah. So let's you wanted to talk about the flashbacks. It actually starts with a flashback, like
yes.
And it's an interesting scene. I just went back and watched that flashback scene right before we recorded this, so because I wanted it to be a little fresh in my mind.
Right, we get what's his name?
Cooper Howard.
Yes, Walter Goggins' character. He's this big movie star, and he kind of, I guess he kind of falls from grace when he is like kind of like he becomes like an advocate for vault tech pretty much. And so I think like that's why you see him doing like these like kids' birthday parties with his daughter. And dude, let me tell you, I love that they did the whole like the whole like Vault Boy thing, like with his thumbs up.
Yeah.
It like tracks. It makes like so much sense. It's like, you know, his daughter says, you know, what can you show me the thumb thing? And it's like, you know, if your thumb can cover it, then like you're fine, but like
if your thumb doesn't cover it, then there's no point in
if
running.
your thumb covers it, then run. If your thumb doesn't cover it, then don't worry about it, you know, or something like that, because like it's just too close.
It's too late.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful scene, and you kind of know it's coming the entire time. Like there's a looming threat. Like on the TV, on the radio, everyone's talking about like, this might be it. This might be, you know, after 10 years of like prolonged nuclear threat, this might be the time. And like they turn on the news and like the weather guy goes, how am I supposed to do the news if there's not going to be a next week? You know, and it's just like, you have this looming threat, and then everyone kind of like turns that off so that they can focus on the birthday party. But like that is looming in the background of the scene. And then obviously the bombs go off. So one thing that I want to point out about this scene that I thought was interesting on a rewatch is we know that Cooper Howard's wife, I forget her name, but his wife, being a Vault Tech employee, had space in the vaults lined up for her husband and her daughter.
Yes. And it was like a
good vault. Like it was one of the better
like
ones.
a supervisor's vault.
So I'm guessing it was Vault 31 because a bunch of the Vault Tech people showed up in Vault 31 for whatever reason. That's just my personal theory.
Right, and then it's in these flashbacks that a lot of dots start to be connected between Cooper and, you know, McLean, and even Moldaver, which is like really like. Moldaver is like the quote unquote, like she's the antagonist, but she's really not the bad guy type person. that's always been the thing about the NCR. The NCR is like not bad, but like they can kind of be an antagonist, but they're kind of protagonist, like a prantagonist. It's
So Moldaver confused me. Like you have this. She's a threat in the first episode. She steals Hank McLean, brings him to the surface for whatever reason. We find out later.
Well, actually, no. She stole Paul Atreides.
Yes, the Paul Atreides from David Lynch's Dune. Yeah.
I thought it was funny that he was in this show.
He looked. They stole Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. How the heck is she alive? Like, did she get in a vault somehow? Was she cryogenically frozen? They never explain like her age. I can kind of understand the ghoul's age. Cooper Howard turns into the ghoul after radiation poisoning, and he just basically like keeps taking drugs to maintain his life. That's assuming...
right. So as far as I remember, I do believe that like ghouls kind of go through a period where like they can go from just being a person to what they call feral ghouls in the games.
And I'm guessing there's no coming back from that.
Yeah, I mean you're
a zombie.
You're a zombie. Yeah, you're a zombie at that point, dude. So how about Walter Goggins playing the ghoul, man? He nailed that role so well. Playing
both the ghoul and Cooper Howard, like two completely different characters.
Yes.
But over a span of like 219 years, you can see how the Wasteland would totally remove any trace of the original Cooper Howard.
What's crazy is that like he kind of became like his persona changed to like somebody from one of his movies.
Yeah, I was thinking about that
because he did a lot of westerns in the old days. So it's like he became a bounty hunter in this Wasteland, and it's like it's so crazy. It was nice seeing, like I said, dude, like the small details with the weapons. You see some of the people with like the pipe rifles and the pipe pistols and stuff. Like just guns that are just kind of put together.
Well, one thing I want to talk
armor too.
We'll talk about the power armor and the Brotherhood in a little bit, but while we're still on the ghoul and Cooper Howard and his wife, my question is, what happened to Cooper Howard and his wife that he and his daughter did not make it into a vault when the bomb started dropping? Maybe the daughter did, because at the end of the series, Cooper Howard says, "Where's my family?" So that kind of introduces the idea that maybe we'll definitely see his wife and at least his daughter probably.
Right. So the fact that there was a cliffhanger made it promising that they have plans for the future.
Right, but like we know that at the birth. So like I was rewatching it and I was really surprised at the line when they basically said that he's doing this birthday party for alimony, which means that they're now divorced. He and his wife are now divorced, and he has his daughter with him for some reason. Would Vault-Tec not, or would his wife not have wanted the daughter to, be in a vault at the time that the bombs were scheduled to eventually go off? Or did Vault-Tec not actually drop the bombs?
Or maybe because, he did do some eavesdropping.
Yeah.
Maybe that got found out. Maybe Vault-Tec booted her and she got pissed because of that. I'm just this is all speculation.
Oh yeah, no, same with me. But, I'm just trying to figure this out myself. Yeah.
Maybe something happened to where she got kicked out of Vault-Tec, and she herself isn't in a vault. So maybe she wasn't in the know how that stuff was coming down. So I mean. Yeah, dude. It's all speculation. We won't really know until I'm pretty sure that the show will tie those loose ends up. At least I hope they do.
Oh, I'm sure they have something in mind, because the show as a whole is super tight with the story that it wants to tell.
Right.
It's a small cast. You have really 3 main players and then, a couple characters that orbit each player. Lucy McLean, the ghoul, aka Cooper Howard, and Maximus, the Brotherhood guy. So let's talk a little bit about the Brotherhood. Tell me about like what their whole thing is. What's their MO?
The Brotherhood of Steel, man. What's their MO, bro? They're pretty much like they're a militia, man.
They're kind of like ex-army. I'm guessing. Like
a lot of they made so like that's what they maintain it. That boot camp atmosphere. They kind of adopt almost like that King Arthur and the Round Table type thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
And there's knights and they have, squires. And so it was interesting that by the end of the show, like he pretty much has gone from he's pretty much gone from like them wanting to like kill him to like, all right, you're gonna lead my the new Brotherhood of Steel type of thing, we've kind of fallen on the wayside.
Which is kind of interesting too. I almost wonder if that means that there's going to be another faction broken off of the Brotherhood of Steel, because I'm assuming that one guy isn't the leader of the entire Brotherhood, probably just that faction of the Brotherhood or whatever. But it does seem like, like throughout history, like you'll have religions that will go on, and then there'll be like one guy who's just like, I think it should be done this way. And then that religion will branch off of this religion. And, you're in the 21st century and now there's like 40,000 different groups of Christians who call themselves Christian. Like they can't all be they can't all be truly Christians, but hey, they've branched off and kind of made that like web of Christianity or Christendom. But it's kind of that's how I kind of took that scene as, they're going to branch off from the line of the Brotherhood of Steel and maybe become the Brotherhood of Maximus. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that. Maximus, his character's interesting because you could tell that he's a character that wants to do good, but then he does some morally questionable things, Do
you think that Dane put that in the shoe, or do you think Maximus put that in the shoe?
That's a good question, because at the end of the day, like, I felt like Maximus did do it.
And he seemed surprised that Dane would take the fall, right? Like they had some like unspoken words between them that kind of like led me to that conclusion, but it's not said outright.
Right. And honestly, to tell the truth, like Maximus is like his actions throughout the show honestly makes it seem like he would do something like that.
He is conniving. He's always trying to like put himself on top. And I think that's probably part of his upbringing and part of his, outsider-isms that he has. Like he's always kind of the odd man out. He's the one who's getting beat up by the other recruits. Yeah. And
you could tell that there was definitely jealousy when he wasn't chosen to be a squire.
Oh, yeah, he had a little freak out. And you just kind of assumed like that was it. And then the next day, Dane's putting on his clothes and cuts open their foot, and I'm just like, did he do that? But it's never really confirmed one way or the other. I think a lot of people assume that he did.
Right. I mean, we could be wrong. At the end of the day, he might have not done it. But like, I was just thinking, because of the actions and because of like the very subtle nonverbal nods to he potentially did do it, definitely kind of pushed me into the camp of I think he might have done it.
He definitely has it in him. I hope he didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
I hope he didn't, but I think he might have.
Dude, like you saw how he stomped on Buddy's foot.
Oh, dude, it was so gross. Like when he took his shoe off and his like toe was just hanging off and his foot was all broken. How was he able to walk that far? Did you notice?
And he's just like he's like limping with a freaking big old bag too.
Did you notice that they all kind of had, or not all of them, but the main people had like Roman names like Maximus, Titus, Thaddeus. Like they all have that us at the end, which is just very Roman. And I'm trying to understand like what the purpose of that was.
Very Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah, I guess like they're knights and squires, and I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like very much so the Brotherhood of Steel. What do you call it? Oh, I also like so we have the dog that's in the show also, and the dog that's in the show is pretty much a nod to the dog in Fallout 4.
Okay. I kind of
like
what
the dog's name in Fallout 4 is?
What?
Dog meat.
Dog meat? Oh, and he calls him dog meat a couple times, right?
I think, did he say?
I feel like I've heard dog meat a couple times.
They did. They also played the Fallout 4 theme song a couple times in the show. Also, I thought that was really cool.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, they did. The Fallout 4 theme, they played it. The 50 songs that you would hear like in the video games. Especially the I don't want to set the world on fire. That's actually like the intro song to Fallout 3. Like,
dude, I've had that stuck in my head all week. just that line. But anyway,
it's so interesting. The Fallout world definitely introduced a lot of people to some like oldies music.
Yeah. So
because like I remember listening to some songs and I'm like, I kind of like that. And like back then, I just whip out Shazam to like,
yeah,
like, what's this song called? Yeah.
Let's talk about Vault 33 and its dwellers. We have it starts with Lucy and her brother and like the people of Vault 33 welcoming a marriage from Vault 31. Instantly, I thought this was just incredible world building, like the fact that these vaults do not interact, but only for rare occasions.
Yes.
Like Vault Dweller transfers. So a Vault Dweller from 32 was going to marry Lucy, basically. So it turned out to be Raiders, and they ended up taking Hank McLean because of it.
Yeah, dude. As soon as I started to see like he had scars on his body, I'm like, I think this is a Raider.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect.
And especially when she pulled up the Pip-Boy and like the rad counter started to like go off, which, dude, that sound that it makes is the exact same sound from the video games. That's Geiger
cool.
counter sound.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
That's what I'm saying. Like the very subtle, tiny details that I pick up. It shows the little Pip-Boy, the Vault Boy on the screen.
Yeah,
showing like the status of her body. That's the game, dude.
I love that.
The whole map thing that she pulled up on the thing and the pinpoint, dude. Like it's just all video games. Bro, like we don't ask for much for adaptations, okay?
No, yeah,
we don't ask for much. Just come on, guys. Like stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Just do this, a lot of people can learn from this adaptation, and even the Last of Us one.
Wait, you're saying that people can learn from The Last of Us, or people like Last of Us should learn from Fallout?
No. Like I'm saying that, future companies that are thinking about making adaptations of, anything, especially video games, they can learn from these two shows. Like, hey, look, we're okay with liberties, but stop trying to like reinvent something that's already there.
Right. And a good example of reinventing the wheel when it comes to a video game adaptation, I think, and some people like it, some people don't like it. The Assassin's Creed movie with the Animus, there was really no need to like make it like a big crane arm that you can like do like dance and flips with. It didn't need to be that way. The video games aren't like that. There's no reason for that, and it kind of just that's where I lose it a little bit with that. And I'm sure there are things in the Halo series that you feel like they're reinventing left and right.
Right, like they're trying to change the character of Master Chief, and it's like, dude, this is an established character. Like it's like, dude, like you're committing a sin by changing this guy. Like, and they're trying to say like, oh, it's an alternate timeline, but like, bro, that's a cop out. Like that's just
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah, like dude, it's like we don't ask for much. Just respect the IP. We don't care if you do make some little changes here and there, but make sure that you keep some of the small details and some of the important, stuff. Like, look, Fallout, it fits within the timeline. This Fallout show, it fits within the timeline. It respects the IP. You can tell that the people who created this show like really did like their homework. They must be fans of the series because it really feels like I'm watching one of the games like on the screen. The story like makes so much sense. It feels like a Fallout story. I mean, the father of a vault dweller getting kidnapped and you have to go and find your father. That
perfectly fits in the Fallout world.
So what do you think about Lucy, like what as a character, and Ella Purnell as an actress? I think she did a fantastic job of just being believable.
Yes, I absolutely loved her character. I loved her character so much because she was naive, but that's a vault dweller. If you don't know what the world is like on the surface, and you only have, whatever it is that you experience in the vault, that's what you're going to reflect.
Yeah, that's what you're bringing with you.
That's what you're bringing with you. And so it makes so much sense, like that's very like, like your characters, in the show, they're a little bit on, I mean, they're different because you're playing the character. So really it's like your personality reflecting through, but like, just not knowing what's going on, like, hey, trying to figure stuff out, being bright-eyed, and then slowly like degrading to what the surface world is like, which you saw Lucy slowly. She started to get the gist, like, okay, I gotta be like this out here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what I loved that they did, and I'm like, man, you know what? This shows like it shows like how much they care about the fans, about making new fans and the old fans, is that they actually took stats for the Ghoul, for Maximus, and for Lucy, and it's like if you wanted to build a character that's just like them, these are their stats that they go based off of.
Oh, like how do you find that? I actually don't. I didn't see that.
Yeah. So in the game, the stats, it spells out special. And, there's like, look and charisma and agility and strength, perception, endurance, like,
So it's kind of like D&D a little bit, where you can kind of build your character based on however you spend your skill points.
Yes. And so if you want to do somebody that's, very brawny, then, and likes to use a lot of melee characters, so you're probably going to use you're going to probably like put it a lot into strength. Or if you want somebody that's really good at like hacking and stuff, because there's hacking, and it shows.
So you'll be like
Norm. Dude, oh my
Norm.
gosh, dude. Yes, they did it. Like that hacking that he did in the show, that's exactly how you hack in the game.
I love that.
Dude, I was like, oh my gosh, he's hacking like the game, dude. Dude, like I'm telling you, it's the small details, like, and the computers look just like the computers in the games, and like the TVs and everything. Like I was blown away, like how much care was put into this IP. And dude, it's so random. Like you're right. Like I was like, oh, there's a Fallout show. It's like, is it gonna be good though? And it was probably, no, not probably. It is literally one of the best adaptations I've ever seen from a video game.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by it. Just all together. All the acting was phenomenal. Somehow, the Ghoul is still like somewhat like handsome at the, like, even though his like all his skin is like melted off. Basically, he doesn't have a nose, but he's still kind of handsome in a weird, freaky way.
So look. Just I can't see, but yeah, there's like the Ghouls. It's like the Ghouls' official stats for special stats in it, and it tells you his strength and his endurance and all that stuff.
Send that to me. Send that to me.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that's super cool.
But yeah, dude, I was absolutely just I was blown away, dude. Like I can't help but gush over
something that's
how
done well. Yeah.
And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what they do next. I really hope that they take this steam and they just keep it going, man. They keep this train going.
What I find kind of interesting is that, like, up until now, it's only been video games. Like, there's no comics, there's no novels, there's nothing to add to the lore of this game up until now with this TV show. And I love that it's not a retread. It's just another chapter in the lore. So, like, Shady Sands was something that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is something that they brought up in either Fallout 3 or 4, right? Shady Sands was the town in the New California Republic?
New Vegas, I believe.
Was it New Vegas? Okay. Okay, so that was introduced in New Vegas. But I just found, like, that they were able to weave a fairly large plot, like a lore element from a previous game into...
Actually, the first game.
Oh, it was...
So it says... So Shady Sands first appeared in Fallout, with the NCR only being mentioned, and then the NCR appears in Fallout 2, and in New Vegas, Shady Sands is mentioned by some characters. So it's actually, the original, like, 2 games.
Yes, yeah. So that's pretty amazing. But what I was trying to, like, express somehow is that, like, they were able to take a pretty significant lore element from the video game series and incorporate it in, like, in a meaningful way into not 1 but 2 characters' pasts. 3 if you count Hank McLean, in terms of, like, how they got where they are now. So, like, it was the bombing of Shady Sands post whatever was the most recent game, because I don't think the bombing of Shady Sands has happened in the games up until this point. So that's a new element, and it's that bombing that was influential for Maximus to join the Brotherhood of Steel, and it was a catalyst for Lucy to end up finding the truth out about her father and Vault-Tec and all that. So it's just crazy, like, the way that they weave everything together. It's amazing. I'm floored, and I don't know if I'm gonna do a video on this. I kind of want to. It's probably, if I do make a video, it'll probably be, like, not a timeline, but, like, a timeline review, in terms of, like, what I liked about how they incorporated the game's timelines into the show in a meaningful way, because it is pretty amazing. Like, and you as a fan didn't, like, blink and think, wait, that can't have happened because of this or that, you know? So I was, just impressed all around.
Absolutely. They honestly, they decided to adapt a video game that honestly didn't even think that was on the radar for anybody to adapt, and they just knocked it out of the park, man. Like, I was highly impressed, man, as a fan of the series, just 2 thumbs up, man.
2 Pip-Boy thumbs up. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us here for our 78th episode.
Not 76 or 77.
Yeah, we really screwed that one up. 78th. If you liked this video and you haven't already, be sure to give this podcast 5 stars on whatever podcast app you are listening to. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And you'll find all of our socials, including the podcast socials, in the show notes down below.
Yes, and make sure to make sure to share our podcast with your fellow Pip-Boy users,
fellow Vault Dwellers. Probably not Brotherhood of Steel, because it's kind of, like, weird and culty there. You might actually be beat up or killed potentially.
Maybe some ghouls.
Maybe. I think ghouls would like it, especially the ones that are a little far gone. They'll just, like, sit there and listen to it and be like, like,
they wouldn't know what they're listening to, but they're listening to it anyway.
Yeah, it's still a listen. I'll take it. Anthony, what are we covering next week? Are we continuing our X-Men coverage?
Yes, definitely.
Let's do it.
I'm definitely excited to hop back into the X-Men, but we could not pass by covering this. We just couldn't.
Yeah, no, Fallout.
It's just too good.
Oh, so good, so good. And there'll probably be a couple more things that we can't, bother passing up. But yeah, this was something special. Guys, we're going to be talking X2, X-Men United next week. So be there or be square, bub.
I'm going to be a triangle.
All right, well, on that note, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.